Hey, it's Rocco Casella from One Wheel Productions and United States of Amusement. It's Thursday night.
You know what that means.
Will you look back when you're old and gray and think those dumb kids had a lot to say? Well, we were trying to make this night one you'd remember. I don't care if my wheels don't turn, I don't care if my pipe don't burn, as long as I am flowing through your veins after I'm gone away.
It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. Hi, everybody.
And before we get into the show, it's the start of the show, so what's that time for?
Joke of the week.
I'm developing a phobia of German sausages. I fear the worst.
It's always the eyebrows. Is that what you're going to say?
It's all in the eyebrows. Thank you for that joke as well.
So without further ado, we're going to introduce Shannon and David from Discover Explorers. How are you doing?
Hey. Whoop. Yep, hold on. There we go. Yeah, hey, we're doing great.
Hi.
Thanks for inviting us on.
That's good, Jed. Did you want to... I'm sorry, the microphone.
It just says you're echoing.
Echoing, I'll try and sort it out.
Oh, okay.
First
Got a
off,
new mic.
did you want to describe your channel name and the logo? Because there's a bit of a story behind it.
Yeah, so we were just trying to figure out what would best describe us, being very simple, right? So we knew we wanted to have the word discover in it. And of course, you know, we're exploring, so we might as well put that in there. But if you notice, the D is capitalized in discover, and the S is capitalized at the end of explorers. So we are David and Shannon. So there we are. And so we have our logo. It has the D and the S with the little searchlight in there. And our brilliant daughter-in-law designed the logo for us, and she's just amazing. So we're really happy to have her, and that's how we got to come our logo and our name.
Oh, that's very sweet. Just looking at the comments, I'm so sorry about this. We're just having a bit of technical issues with the echo. We are trying to work it out at the minute. So
I'll change the mic up. I'll go back to the other one.
Yeah. Okay.
While I'm doing that, David, did you want to discuss where your love of exploring came from when you were a kid, going with your parents?
Yeah, sure. You know, it's kind of one of those things that you know, I grew up in Arizona most of my life, and I spent a little bit of time in Utah when I was younger. But often we would travel between places, and if you know, the United States is pretty large, so we might have a trip that's 12 hours, and we would just stop for gas, and we would just stop for you know, the quick breaks. And I remember looking out the window all the time and going, oh man, I think I see some caves over there, or it would be awesome to go see that thing. And of course it's just going from point A to point B. And we've decided that we're going to stop and we're going to explore and see these spots everywhere that are just right around us. And it's been kind of fun. So that doesn't mean that as a kid I didn't have those experiences. I mean, I was a Boy Scout. I don't know if you guys know what that is over there in the UK, because it was founded over there. But Boy Scouts of America, we have I was camping like once a month, probably, you know, through those early years, you know, 12 to 14 or 15. But you know, you just kind of get a love for exploring, and so we love to just go see things and learn and experience things. What about you?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, we've been in a hurry to get to where we need to go, whether we're on vacation and going to a destination or going to visit family. So it's nice now to take the time just to be able to stop and to see what's along the way, because there's some really fascinating things that we've always overlooked.
Oh, that's amazing. It's so nice that you've like both like you know, met each other? Did you meet each other through like exploring the same place, or if you mind me asking, or is that quite personal?
No, we've been married since 1992. You believe that?
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's been an exploration the whole time. So
It's always an exploration. We have 5 kids, so yeah, life has been an exciting ride. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you notice our
too.
Yeah, they love it. They're kind of our biggest fans, and you know what? That's really been when we were making these videos, and I hope everybody that's new and can go out and see what we're doing. And when we're making these videos, our kids and our family have been our audience. They're the ones we're thinking about. And so in a lot of the places we do go, we've been with our kids. And so it's fun. We do a weekly video call with our kids every Sunday night. And it's so funny to just have them talk about our explorations and to share that with us. Our youngest just graduated high school. So in the United States, that's usually about 18 years old. And he's starting college. And we just did a trip up to Utah and saw him off. And so we knew this was coming. And so we started doing some adventures that we've kind of been waiting to do. And we're what they call empty nesters at this point.
Oh.
Well, what I just want to do, because I was trying to sort out the microphone then.
Yeah.
But,
you sound great.
I've actually got it's a couple of minutes long. I've got some highlights of your adventures that I thought I'd play for everyone at home. So I'll just play that.
Welcome to our new adventure. We're here at the Gilbert Riparian Preserve, and this is one of the hidden gems of Gilbert. You can probably hear the ducks here with us behind us. It is an early morning, coming up on 5:30, and we're just beating the heat. It's 109 degrees right now, and we're getting, one of our favorite things to do is in the afternoon during the week is go up to the lake where it is a little cooler in the water and not very crowded.
That's amazing.
Oh, that was. Here is just beautiful.
This Pepper Sauce Canyon supposedly was named the way it is because there was a miner back in the 1880s who was back in here and apparently left his bottle of pepper sauce and complained about it to his buddies about losing his bottle. And so it became known as Pepper Sauce Canyon. Now for the real reason we're here, to feed the ducks.
But they know what's going on.
Thanks so much for joining us on our fun walk this morning at the Gilbert Riparian Preserve at Water Ranch. It's been a blast. We hope you've had fun. And until next time, we'll see you later.
Hey.
It's just so lovely, honestly. Like, it's that sort of that music as well. Like I said, obviously before we came on the show, it's that sort of mindfulness as well to like just take it in the now, and it's just lovely, honestly.
Oh, thank you. We're having a lot of fun doing it. It's fun to do these things together and tell a story. So hopefully we can get other people to enjoy it too. And I think one of our main things is the other thing that we want to do is inspire people to get out there and discover and explore. And that's one of the things I get back from family members and or people who watch is they say, it makes me want to go there. I want to go see those things, or I want to go out in my own neighborhood area and go see them. So that's our goal. And hopefully we can inspire people to do that.
Yeah, it's a really good goal. Sorry, go on.
When were you both into kayaking before you met each other, or was one of you into it and got the other one into it?
Not really. I think we grew up in very different areas. David grew up in Arizona. I grew up in Canada, Western Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Commonwealther. So, so it was colder up there. I didn't do a lot of water activities up there, but so very different backgrounds. And so, as we've grown up in Arizona, I've just discovered that Arizona has such a unique beauty to it. And even though it's really hot in the summer, and you have to be very selective about what you do in the summer and about when you do it. You're not going to go hiking in the middle of the day because you're probably going to die. If you're not prepared. So you just learn to work around it.
Yeah.
And so it's got such a unique beauty to it that I have just grown to love it. And over the years, we've just expanded what we've decided to do, our activities. So now we love to hike, we love to kayak, we love to just kind of get out and be outdoors as much as we can.
So as a kid, I probably did kayaking or canoeing actually just a few times, probably as a Boy Scout. But I think our first real experience of getting our own kayaks and doing that was together. And so that was kind of cool, and with our kids. And so
would you do like paddleboarding as well?
We do paddleboard. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
I like kayaking better, but they're both good.
Okay, so you've got a really good balance. That's what I've got to say. I've got a colleague of mine at work that loves paddleboarding, and I'm like, how do you balance so well and just keep going? Like, there'll be something in the way, and she's like still balancing. I think it's.
Well, some of our kids are really good at it, and for me, I prefer the kayak, but the paddleboards are fun. Some of our kids are good, and if I go on it, I'll just sit. I'll just sit down and paddle. So
I think that's I'd be like crawling.
Yeah, if you guys ever come out to Arizona, we'll take you out. We've got a couple extra.
What's it like? This is gonna sound really odd now, but just because it's almost such a different world from anything we've got in the UK, what's it like? I don't know how to word it. Like the danger of certain animals that live in that environment. Do you have to deal with that at all? Like in your home life, do you have to have things about in case, I don't know, snakes or things like that?
You're on about wildlife.
Yeah, but like dangerous wildlife.
Intrusive wildlife.
What do you think?
Well, I think for day-to-day living, most people, the scariest thing they have to contend with is maybe scorpions in their homes. And so, we have friends who regularly have to go out in the evening to search for the scorpions with their black light and kill them at night. And we've never had any problems in the homes that we've lived in, but some people do. So I think that's the scariest one that we immediately have to deal with. But, out in nature, we have seen rattlesnakes before, and, the occasional coyote. Anything else?
Well, we have coyotes that we'll see them at the parks. So, and even in the riparian that we went to, where it's in kind of the city, they travel along the canal banks and they'll go in there and they tell people who are dog walking to be mindful of them because the coyotes will go after them. But it's very rare. I mean, you hear of people and that I think somebody shot one of them in that park with a handgun because they felt it was coming too close, and just kind of amazing to hear that. Wildlife. I mean, we have a lot of wildlife out here. So, I mean, it's really crazy. The Superstition Mountains out here, there's mule deer out here. And you'd think, well, where are they? You watch these survivor videos where they're out. They actually can survive better in the desert in these areas because there's more like just things around than in the forest. It really kind of interesting to see, but there's a lot of wildlife. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Closest encounter I've had was near Suffolk, Thetford Forest, and you're driving down this dark country road to get back to like sort of Mildenhall way, and there's deer that literally just come out of the road at you. So it's like, and you have to, really, some people have really swerved out of the way, but it was quite scary.
I will get some photos.
That's the closest I've got.
Before I'm going to go through some photos of your travels in a little while. But first, because you've mentioned it already, did you want to tell the people at home about the Superstition Mountains? And is that the same tale as the Old Dutchman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a mountain range not too far from our house, just to the east, called the Superstition Mountains. And I believe they got their name a long time ago, back in the mining era of the 1880s. There was a local miner named Jacob. What's his last name?
I don't remember the name.
Should know his last name. But he was famous because he'd go into the mountains and he'd come out with gold. And no one knew exactly where he was going to get his gold. And he died apparently with gold under his bed. And no one ever knew because he never told anyone. So the lore is that there is treasure out there in the Superstition Mountains. And whether there really is debatable, right? He could have come upon a stash of old Spanish treasure or something like that. So there are people who actively still today go out and search for his gold. And it can be a dangerous thing, as people could have actually died when they go out there and get lost and dehydrated. But it's kind of a fun little story that our area takes advantage of. It's very famous and well known.
Yeah.
Like
So what's that?
Is that like a tourist thing? The old Dutchman, the tale.
Yeah, it can be, but there's also, it's a huge mountain range. And so there's beautiful hikes out there, even if you're not going to search for the gold. There's some lakes out there. So it's a great place to just go and hike and just see the beauty.
Now, our hiking, our best hiking time is probably November through March. And we plan to do some hikes. We don't have any really good hikes up in the Superstition as far as our videos, but we have them planned, and so we'll do some of those. There's a cool little rebuilt, is it Ghost Town? What's it called?
Goldfield.
Goldfield, and it's right next to the Superstitions there, and it's a real like Wild West town that they've rebuilt and on foundations and things like that. And they play it up a little bit, but it is real. I mean, there was somebody that a miner that they don't know if it was a stash of gold or what, but it's kind of interesting. There are people come out here and unfortunately get lost or unprepared, and
But when you get there, you have to get a cowboy hat and then a bit of like fool's gold underneath your head and like
Exactly.
sleep on it and be like, the legend is true.
yeah.
The lore is true.
Yeah.
So any glowworms here? I see a question there. I'm not sure of any glowworms, but
I assume they're just like, I've never heard of them. They're like fireflies, I assume, but worms.
I'm not sure.
I was going to ask, because you mentioned the winter. What's the kind of climate there in the winter? Is it still quite hot by normal standards?
it's perfect. It's why we live here, actually. So it's like at Christmas time, if the sun's out, you can go out in a t-shirt. But it's just beautiful. Yeah. In the winter. It's 8 months of the year, I would say it's just perfect. Just how you'd want it to be. And you get out and it does get chilly and cold, but we love it here. So.
Yeah.
Mike's got some photos to show of your channel.
I'm probably going to butcher this, trying to remember which videos they're
Excuse
from
the
now.
shuffle though. Like,
Yeah, I just shuffled everything over it.
So that's the part downtown Gilbert.
Sometimes when we're moving these screens, I feel like moving like, like Star Trek sort of character, like whoa, whoa.
Or the Brady Bunch, right?
Or
yeah.
Did you have Celebrity Squares? Did you have a game show called Celebrity Squares in the States? That was similar. It had different celebrities.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh, I remember that. Oh, hi everybody again that's just joined us as well.
I can't remember if I remembered to put it in the clips, but that central bit of the park, that's where they control where the water goes into each lake, isn't it?
Yeah. So we give a little bit of history of this. I think Shannon did in the video, but it's really a preserve, but it's also it has a double purpose. So they actually reclaim water because water is pretty valuable out here in the desert. But if you notice, it's pretty green around there. This is Gilbert, Arizona, and it's right, this is probably about 10, 15 minutes down the road from us. And they rotate the lakes, but they'll reintroduce the water back into the environment. But they've made it a park for birds, and this is the park where also you could see some coyotes in there.
Lots of rabbits.
Lots of rabbits, and they're so used to you that you just walk by them and they look at you while they're chewing the leaves and whatever else. But it's it's really weird to be here in the desert and go to the pond and you see these huge pelicans that are from the ocean, and they're stopping here and visiting. And we get a lot of the Canadian geese that come in here, but it's really cool because there's people that come from all over the world, because this is kind of a unique area to see lots of different types of birds. And sometimes I heard that there'll be a duck sighting, and we're not bird watchers. I do have friends that are, and there'll be people that will travel because somebody said they saw or took a picture of a particular duck or a bird. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, but it's a fun place. You can ride bikes through there and you can hike. They do have a reserved area to camp, and there's also an observatory that's run by a club, so they can do stargazing and things like that.
Oh, that looks so breathtaking.
And it's all free, by the way. This is open to the public. You can just walk.
Oh my gosh.
Customer the Joneses says, how many days of rain do you get each year?
Oh boy. Well, we have some rainy seasons. So winter, we can get regular rain. In the summer, we get monsoon storms that come through. So we do get some pretty wild thunderstorms in the summer. How many days of rain? I would have to look that up. Not a lot.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but this year we did get a lot of water, and the reservoirs and the lakes were letting a lot of water through. And that also feeds out to, if you're familiar with the area, it goes out to Nevada or through the Colorado River, which ends up into what's the lake? Lake Mead, which is in the border of Nevada and Arizona. It's over by Las Vegas.
I'm just laughing at people in the comments because they're asking the question about the rainfall and then
failed summer, yeah.
Don't get me started on our failed summer.
My what is it? Meteorologist hat on.
Yeah, Shannon's the brains.
Yeah, thank you for everyone for joining us recently as well. It's absolutely amazing to see everyone on here. Obviously, if you've got questions for our lovely guests as well, if you've just tuned in, just ask away.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Go on.
I was just going to ask where these next couple of pictures were taken.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's from our recent video right now that's up. That was posted on Sunday. We visited, this is a mining town called Globe, and I don't think we talked about it in the video, but I guess back in the 1800s, somebody found a near perfect sphere of silver, and they called it Globe. And so the town or the settlement there got its name Globe because of a sphere, near perfect sphere of silver. And of course, mining, it's just a huge mining town back in the 1800s. And it is a probably iconic Wild West. And these jail cells here are part of that history. It's kind of amazing to me that this jail that we visited, it was way back in there, like 1910 or 19, yeah. And it was used up until like 1980s. So when we're in there, we're like, I can't believe that people were like held in here up into the 80s. Yeah.
It's amazing how many fitted into one as well. But obviously everyone needs to look at the vlog to see it. Because I was really shocked, to be honest. Yeah. I was like, wow, you can fit that many people?
Yeah.
Question to the Joneses. Andy says his family history of mining. His great granddad died in the Gresford. I don't know about that. But
was that obviously slate, mining for slate? I'm assuming.
Leaps and Lap Bars is here. He's big into his drones, so we'll be talking about that later.
All right. Yeah. So this picture here is in the courthouse that's next to the jail, and this is a 1906 courthouse. So it's part of the Wild West as well. But that's real copper. That's some of the original copper that is on the staircase. And it was huge, but it's just amazing that they still have that copper that came from the mines there, and it's part of the courthouse.
Oh, coal. There you go. Sorry. Just looking now, I was like, oh, coal.
Yeah, coal mine in Wrexham.
Mine was like coal. My family relatives were coal mining as well. Ooh, what's that?
That's this one.
Is that the thing?
The ruin there.
So this picture is, again, it's very near Globe. The settlement is called Beshbagawa. And so it's an old Native American site, and they've restored and preserved a lot of it and rebuilt some of it. It has an interesting history. You know, in this whole area, there is a whole section of Native Americans. They call them ancestral Pueblo Indians. And they lived in this area long time ago, but then they just kind of disappeared, and still today they don't really know what happened to them. So other Native American tribes like the Apache and other that came into the area said, you know, all this infrastructure is here. They built amazing canal systems. They had ruins that were dotted all over the area, but the people were all gone. So there's speculation as to what happened to them. Maybe they moved on because the climate turned bad for them. They were farmers. They were very very well adapted to the desert. But anyway, so this is one of those ruins that is still around. So the Apache discovered this back in the 1500s, and it's near Globe. So it's called Beshbagawa, and it's still been preserved. So it's kind of fun to go and see places like this. And, you know, when we think about history, like, and we compare it to some of the things over in Europe, we're like, oh, it's not very old, right? But for us, this is what we have. And it's fascinating history on its own.
And it's a lot of it's not known. I was thinking the same thing. We see these things. This is from probably the 1200 or to 1400. And I'm thinking, well, you guys in the UK, it's no big deal if you're living in a house that's, you know, the same age, right? We visited part of Europe, and we were staying in some Airbnbs that were 1,000 years old, and and the walls were like this 3 or 4 feet thick, about a meter, and we're just amazed. So, but we love the mystery behind it, and you know, it's the whole Southwest down here. It's just fascinating because you can go to these locations where these Native Americans lived, and there will be very common things, like they traded seashell bracelets that came from the Pacific or the Gulf of Mexico or all these areas. And also you'll see ball pits, like these, they played this, similar to what they did down in the Aztecs. And it was but they're similar ball pits, and they believe that they even had a culture of playing against other areas and stuff like that, because they're all over the Southwest here.
The Apache, similar to, I don't know much about it at all myself, but I've heard of the Navajo people. Are they similar to the Apache?
They're different tribes. So the Navajo are typically, they're thought of coming from the far north, and actually, if you talk to a Navajo, they and the other tribes, they can recognize each other because they have a slightly different look. The Navajos, their language is nothing like any of the other tribes, like the Apaches or the ones that were through Utah. So the Navajo is kind of slightly different, and typically, long time ago, in the early days, didn't get along very well, so they kind of kept to themselves. A lot of the tribes of the Indians were warring among themselves when it was being settled. And some of the Native Americans would actually side with the cavalry and help against another tribe and things like that.
I'm going to skip over this photo because I've actually got a set of slides later on from this specific museum, because it's amazing. So we're going to circle back to that.
Okay, we just had a couple more comments come in, and then we've got a couple of like Welsh sort of viewers.
Oh, yeah.
Said, we have castles in Wales.
We've got castles in Wales. You're never more than 10 miles from one, I've been told, in Wales.
And that's amazing to us.
Yeah, the castles in Wales. We would love to come. And I'll tell you, one of my favorite shows, we don't get it streamed on TV here, but we had to go get it on the internet or wherever, was Time Team. When they go in there and they spend 3 days, they'll spend the 3 days, and I love the ones where they do the Roman ruins or even even ancient, like the prehistoric stuff. And anyway, we love that.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah, I've seen that in
I know we've not
ages.
talked about your other stuff yet, but I think there's another program you might like if you've not heard of it called Scrap Heap Challenge. And they literally have like engineers that they scrap heap and they got to make like a car or something from what's in there. It's
Or an
that's
airplane,
cool.
right? A glider.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So is this outside that other photo
is.
we were just talking about?
Yeah, that's part of Beshpagawa.
Oh, look at that. You just got. Who takes the photos? Just both of you, or
I took these. No. Yeah, I
Like-
think I took these from the video.
just like
Yeah,
you both share like the vlogging though, don't you? You both like share his video and what, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say David does it probably a little bit more than I do, but yeah, we'll use whatever is good.
Yeah, we both. Shannon's busy taking pictures all the time, and I love it. But this one happens to be a picture I took. That's Shannon, and this is in our back little inlet or a little cove on one of our favorite places. And this is about 30 minutes from where we live here to get up to this canyon lake. And it's one of our favorite things to go in the evening. And if we go during the week, we're like the only ones out there. It's just fantastic. And this is a little swimming hole. We like to take our kids back here when they're in town, and we'll go back here. We'll get out and swim a little bit, and it's just beautiful. So.
Oh, that's lovely, honestly. Right. Oh,
And I think the people at home will be really interested in it as well. But I found it interesting because the water levels in these lakes, these lakes that are they're controlled, so they'll fluctuate.
Yeah. There's several stages. They're each dammed and they feed into each other. So the original river there was what they call the Salt River, and the reserve reservoirs. There's about 4 lakes in series, and this is about in the middle of those lakes. And so they're dammed up, and they control how much comes in and goes out. And this year they had a lot of water, so they were constantly letting it go down so that the reservoirs at the top don't overfill. And so we would see, you can see on the rock wall there that it's dark, that earlier in the day or the day before the water had been high. And sometimes we'll go there to the lake even a week apart, and rocks that weren't showing underwater are now showing. And we went early in the season and we couldn't even come back to this area because it was dry.
Oh, really?
So it does fluctuate quite a bit, and it all depends on how much water flow. But this is a pretty typical view right here.
do you ever get like is it kayaks, isn't it? Do you ever get them like damaged underneath sometimes because of that? Like,
It's scary.
yeah,
we do
they
hit
take quite
rocks.
a bit of maintenance.
No, the biggest worry is that you'll hit a rock and get stuck on it, right?
Oh, yeah. You'll be there.
Yeah.
Help me.
Exactly.
They're
We
made of
get
pretty
them.
hard
Get out.
plastic, and they're pretty rugged.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of scrapes on the bottom of those, and but we've never had to repair them. Not the big
That's
plastic.
good then. We've got I think is it kayak racing, isn't it, that they do at Matlock, which is like 30-40 minutes away from us, but they tend to do like races across like the sort of
That's downhill on a
Yeah.
big river, isn't it?
yeah, but it's quite enjoyable though.
That does look quite
It
dangerous as
looks
well,
really
yeah.
fun to see them, but it is quite sort of like bumpy kind of flow. I can explain it. It's
we
not quite
stick to our-
rafting, but
We stick to where it's pretty calm. That's our speed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you want to tell us about the Arizona Museum of History? I hope I've got that right.
Sure.
Okay.
So this is in downtown Mesa, and it's part of the valley here of Phoenix, the Greater Valley, and it's known. This has actually been there for quite some time. It's kind of funny because we have people that grew up and live here, and they'll see some of these pictures, or they'll see it and they're like, "Where is that?" And like, really? But it's kind of a hidden secret, and more people are finding it. But it's just fantastic. They've got tons of dinosaur fossils, And also it was built around the old territorial jail. And so if you watch the video, we go in and it's a really old jail from the early 1900s. And that one is amazing because they're just crammed in there, and no air conditioning. I can't imagine being in there. It would be like an oven in the summer, but they used it. They would have overpopulated and stuff like that. But yeah, and here's some of the pictures. This is just the entrance here. It's before you go into the actual museum.
Oh, really? That's just the foyer?
Yeah, that's just the entrance area where you walk in to go to the counter to. And how much is it per person?
Oh, it's not expensive. Maybe $6 a person for adults.
Yeah. Wow. It's not expensive, and you can spend a good part of the day there.
To say that there's so much, that is really good. And I can just think of like the little ones, like little ones that just love dinosaurs. Yeah. You can just imagine
our kids when they were little. And and we were there recently with some neighbor kids, and they were really nervous when they see the dinosaurs move because some of them are animatronics, and it was kind of fun. Yeah. They get excited.
Did you want to tell the people at home what this is a photo of what happens in this room?
So this is a simulated flash flood that they. It's a show. They do it every half hour in the museum, and so it's designed to simulate what really happens in the desert in the summer when we get the monsoon rains. They do get flash floods like this where they come down. The rain comes so fast that the ground can't absorb the water, so they have these little rivulets and the canyons that the water comes down. So it just simulates it. They have a flash flood and the water comes down and then it just gets calm again for another half hour and then they do it again.
So this is something that really happens out in the desert. I mean, we've seen it one time. We were out by the Navajo reservation and there was a thunderstorm, quick rain, a lot of rain came down and it was like drying up. We were looking down and we could see these little canyons. I don't even know if you'd call it a canyon, but they were just wall of water coming down it. And if you're hiking in it and you weren't in an area where it was raining, you're going to be faced with a wall of water and branches and sticks and logs. And it's pretty real. It's pretty cool. Something that's probably not unique to Arizona, but we have a lot of them with the thunderstorms.
So a lot of the storms out there just really intense, but really over quick as well. Are they quite short?
Like torrential.
Yeah. Have you heard of a haboob? Have you heard that term? Haboob?
No, I've not heard that term before.
I think it's probably Indian, from India, but it's a sandstorm, and we get those near the monsoon season. So you'll look out back, and there'll be a wall of a sand wall just moving across the desert, and it'll engulf your home and everything just kind of turns red and like it's pretty amazing, and it happens a couple of times almost every year. So
and there's superstitions around that, is there, having it around your home and stuff?
No, it happens quickly. But you've got to pull over and if you're driving, you have to pull over and just wait it out. But someone asked, do we get any tornadoes? We typically do not get tornadoes here.
No. We can feel the effects of some of the storms that come up through the coast, but no.
Yeah.
We've got pictures this is from your vlog because it's quite unique. These dinosaurs they're webbed on the back legs rather than the front ones. And
I always loved that when I'd see that, because there's a fossil right next to it. So they drew a picture of what it looked like, and that's an artist's rendition. And then there's a fossil and they're not that big. The fossil wasn't very big, but I always just found it fascinating that they had the wings on the back legs, and it doesn't even look anything like the evolutionary chain for flight that we know of, right?
It reminds me of like flying squirrels, but it doesn't have the web at the the bit where the arm and the legs go.
Yeah.
That's what it reminds me of a bit, but yeah.
And this one here, this is one of my favorite ones. This thing is huge. It's just towering over us. They say it's the largest creature that has ever flown on the earth that we know about anyway. And if you look at the back wall right there, that's an artist rendition of what they think it might have looked like. But its wingspan is bigger than like the most small aircraft, and it's just massive. And
Oh my
it's
god.
pretty cool. Yeah, can you imagine walking into a swamp with that thing over there?
Oh, I can just imagine it just picking you up at random, and you're like, "Wah!" That's it. You're gone. You're done for.
And this is to do with the old Dutchman again.
Yep, this is this is part of the museum, and they tell the story about the Lost Dutchman, and they've kind of made it. It's really, the kids enjoy it, and it's kind of a fun little walkthrough of they remake part of the mine, what they think, and they let you learn a little bit about mining here in Arizona.
Oh.
And this is the prison you were talking. It's not a very bright picture, unfortunately. That's my fault, but.
You have to go see their
The
vlogs.
prison.
Go see their vlogs.
So I think they call this a jail. So a jail is usually where they're a holding tank, but it was a territorial. Some people may stay in there a long time, but it's where they wait to get their sentencing or go to see the judge.
I can't remember if I got a photo. No, I didn't get a photo inside the cell. But if you watch I've got a link for your channel in the description. So after this video, people can go and check out your videos.
Yeah.
But I just want to say I found it funny because I think it was one of your sons who said someone. It was referring to it was the same size as a New York apartment or something.
Yeah.
Like $1,000 apartment in New York. That was it.
Yeah, it's probably true. I mean, it's like some of these places that they stay, and probably about the same accommodation too.
I think they said it was bigger as well.
So they lifted this. Did they lift this jail from somewhere else to put it here?
Yeah, this one came from Phoenix, which is not very far, maybe 30 miles. The other jail that we showcased in the video when we did our visit to Globe, that territorial jail they have there was actually transported, and it's much bigger, and they transported it from Yuma, which is a couple 100 miles away. And I asked the guide there, how did they get this over here, back in the early 1900s? And she goes, I don't know. I mean, I just have no idea how they would have transported that. It's so huge and so heavy.
I think they just had to, if you look, they're built with rivets. They didn't do a lot of welding back then. So they probably would just disassemble them but it's amazing. Yeah. I think this was moved in 1936 from Phoenix to the location it's at now. It's been where they've used it, and it was used after it was moved. And so it's amazing to me that they would move these cells like they did. So
amazing.
It's quite cool because in the vlog, you see it in your vlog when people will see it. But this is you walk out into this from the cave section, like the bit that's replicating the cave. You just walk straight out into this. It was so surreal to see in the video.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. The museum has done a really good job of putting these things together. So you just go from one world to another world, and it's great.
Perfectly themed. There's Surfer Girl from. She said, when I was younger, I lived in Yuma,
Arizona.
Yeah.
There was an old territorial prison across the street.
Might not be there anymore.
Yeah, we want to visit that.
Yeah.
And that's where the jail cells for Globe, the mining town, came from in 1910, and they do have a really scary territorial jail. That's a museum there in Yuma that you can go see, and we want to go see that one too.
I thought I should put there was nothing much there but ruins, ruins that I remember.
Yeah,
maybe that was a scary one.
And these are some of the tools from the mine. I don't think you'll have to watch the video because it is really good as well.
It's cool.
I didn't get a picture of it, but there's a bit where there's a display of some other items they found, and there was a piece of armor that I think was Spanish, you said, but it was like a chest plate, but it was so small.
Yeah, it's always fascinating. They'll find helmets or even bits of armor and the chest plates tucked away under rocks in caves that the Native Americans had hid. So in the 1500s, the Spanish were coming through, right? They were just starting to settle in. They were putting in the Catholic churches and cathedrals and things like that through Mexico, but they were also working their way up in Arizona. And some of these explorers would disappear. And instead of getting retaliation, the Native Americans would kind of hide the armor so that the proof, right? And they occasionally they'll find some of that stuff today in some of these caves. But the amazing thing is, when I see the Spanish armor, and I've seen it in other places, it's tiny. Those guys were little. There is this, I'm 6'3", and I can't imagine these. They look like they're made for little kids, like 13.
Yeah, in the video you put your hand next to the glass at one point to give like kind of a slight scale to it, and it's really tiny.
Yeah.
And then this was I'm sure this is a lot of fun in person. This green screen. Camera.
Yeah, so they have a section where they showcase all the movies that have been made in Arizona, and you can look at all the movie posters around the wall, and then they have like old movies that are playing, and you can go in and they'll green screen you on to a large screen TV. And that was one of our kids' favorite memories when they were little, was doing that, and they loved it. So we went and they relived a little bit of their childhood there.
Oh.
And they made the panning for gold.
Yeah, panning for gold.
You can see Shannon there. They have a little thing out back. Of course, it's not real gold, but it's a lot of fun.
Like fool's gold sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's called pyrite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's still in the one in this country, and someone in the chat can tell me. I don't know if you would have had it in the States if you've ever been to Legoland, but they used to have a panning for gold at Legoland in Windsor near London.
They used to have one in American Adventure as well. Not too far from where we are, but sadly it closed. But yeah, they used to have one in American Adventure as well, and you'd literally get like pieces of gold. I just remember my friends going, "I want some gold! I'm gonna go sell it now."
Before I go on to
like in a young teen.
I'm going to talk about the drones in a bit. But did you want to tell us about this music store quickly? It's at the end of the vlog, and you say it's your favorite music store.
It's been there since I was kids. My first electric guitar came from this place. It's called Milano's. It's downtown Mesa, and it's part of the history of Mesa, actually. So they've been there forever. And us and our kids love music, and so we always just go in there, whether it's to play the guitars or go through music and stuff.
There's a great bit at the end of that vlog where I think it's your son who's playing the guitar, isn't he? It's really cool. It's a really cool way to end the vlog.
Did you recognize the song?
No, I might not have heard it.
That's fine.
I don't know. You might tell me now, and I might know the song. It
was Tool. One of their new songs. So.
I'm thinking I might have to listen to it again because it might be a metal one. And I thought I'll leave it a minute.
It's okay if you don't, but it's kind of just, he was playing it. It's an interesting guitar. It's probably it's a 6-string baritone, the one he's playing. So it's not a normal. It's a bass baritone guitar. The only other person I know that played a lot, the New Order used to play him a lot, and then also the Cure. Like you'll hear that instrument. Yeah. The British band. Yeah. So and we're fans of those guys too. So.
I'm a fan of the Cure.
The Smiths and all that.
So if it's okay, I'm going to transition a bit to. Does Shannon have anything to do with the Chroma channel as well? Or is that just solely you, David?
No, that is all David. That's his world.
She's a big supporter. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've got a short video. It's about a minute and a half, and it's footage of you use it because you're quite a professional with it. I think when I see it, I don't know how long have you been flying the drone?
I've actually been flying. So the term is first person view. So FPV. I've been flying. Yeah, I've been flying with goggles. My first flight was in 2010. So with goggles, and ever since then, it's just been part of my life that I do almost every week. So I love it. It's fantastic. If it's the closest thing you can get to flying in person but from the safety of the ground.
There was one where you said that they did like races and stuff, and you showed me the bit with the races that they were doing.
Yeah, that was insane.
And I looked at it and I was like, this reminds me of Wipeout slightly, like the game. And I just kept looking at it going, oh my gosh, it's like Wipeout, there's something going off. But yeah.
It's a minute,
so like playing a video game, but real.
I know! I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
It's a minute and a half. I'll play it for everyone at home who's not familiar with it, and then we're going to discuss, because it's really, I find it really interesting. So I'll play it.
That bit there, the last bit there, where you saw like the sort of like cliff edge and stuff. That was the one that I thought, this looks so peaceful.
Oh,
I just instantly sat there and just went, oh, didn't I? At the end of the work day.
The one with the crane where you flew it through the chains. I was like, I don't think I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, so that's an airplane that I'm flying.
Oh, that's an actual plane.
So I fly acrobatic drones, like the quadcopters that people see. And I really love flying airplanes with the goggles. It's because you get the feeling of flight. And with the quads, you a lot of the times you just feel like you're pushing a camera around in three-dimensional space. But so that was from an airplane I call the Stingray, one I designed. So
the one I didn't see before, unfortunately I missed that one, was the one with the Lego people in. I've not
the
seen
zero
that
gravity,
one yet, so I have to see that one.
Yeah, I hadn't seen somebody do that, and that's a Sprite bottle. If you know what Sprite is, it was a 2-liter Sprite bottle, and I saw that, and it was clear, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to make a little pod. And I'd seen somebody do something like this, and I just put a camera in there, and I made this little pod, and I attached it to the top of the airplane, and I just went out and flew and wanted to see how they moved and if we could make a weightless chamber. So it was kind of fun. There's a video out there. I still have it. I've only done it once, but it was kind of fun to do.
That's amazing.
There is a video on, I'm not sure if I put it in the description now, but I will after the show, because the channel's called Chroma, Qromer. And there is one video, and I can't remember which one, where you were speaking to, I really apologize, I don't remember his name. You were speaking to an older gentleman, and then you're also speaking to someone you called Brazilian Pete.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought the way they were talking about the passion for it, but also what they might find interesting at home, it's still quite regulated in the States, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, they're pushing this remote ID, which the FAA, and I've just heard that they've pushed back the date because it's government pushing this, and there's no infrastructure to support it yet. And so they were going to start it on September 16th, and we just heard that they're going to push it back. I don't know if there's a date picked yet. And there's also, there's regulation for the weight of models and things like that, and spotters and things like that. We always stay under 400 feet, which is You know, I don't know if you guys know feet or miles or.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's 400 feet is the United States. So we try to stay under that. We don't fly over houses, and we try to just always be mindful of everybody around us. And so it's great. It's a great hobby. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that's the one. Sorry, I was like.
There's a local group that sends out a text and goes, "Hey, we're going to do some night flying. Tell everybody we're going to come out." And we'll just go out there and you just meet the most fantastic people. And that's what's really fun about this hobby is the fact that it's you just meet smart people that are good people. And I wouldn't trade the relationships and people that that you get to know for anything, because they're the most giving people. They share, and it's just a good time.
You feel like you get that spark every time you come back, and you feel like uplifted. You're like, I need to go build this one next, and like exactly. Really the creative minds.
Yep.
Oh, it's such a lovely feeling. Sorry, go on.
Do you get a lot of? I don't want to sound bad here. Do you get a lot of like when you meet up? Do you sometimes get the police show up to check everything's in regulation or anything like that?
Never. The police don't know. I have some police officer friends, and they don't know. A lot of them don't even know what the regulation is being pushed. They might get a document, but they don't know how to enforce it. That's the other problem that they have, is the fact that the FAA is making rules and regulations, but they don't have people to enforce it, and they're going to try and dump it on the police officers that are locally, and they're trying to deal with all the people who are breaking the law or other things, and it's just kind of a mess. So. But yeah, we've never had any problems with the police or anything. In fact, a lot of them will come up and they'll ask questions because they're interested, and they might go for a ride with the goggles.
The goggles are amazing. I've never seen. I'm sure people in this country do it.
Yeah,
I've only ever seen people with a screen. I've never. I just thought that was amazing that you just had the like VR goggles on. Is that something that you tweaked with to get it, or is that just you can buy that off the shelf?
You can buy it off the shelf. There's old analog systems which you can get pretty cheap. So the analog is like they work on the 5.8 gigahertz, and you get a lot of the fuzzy and then the new ones, which I'm a huge fan of, is the digital. There's a couple of brands out that do digital, and DJI has an FPV goggle system and the cameras, and you can basically buy the goggles and cameras and put them on anything you want. You can put it on a remote controlled truck, a boat, helicopter, airplane, and just remote pilot.
Can we make a robotic version of a guinea pig and then just to get it to talk to Holly?
No, we can't.
Yes. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
While I'm at work, I'll be like, you.
Has Shannon ever flown the drone much or not?
No, he's tried to get me, several times, and I've tried it, and I think I could learn if I had a passion for it, but I don't have the passion for it.
Well, for vlogging, we have a DJI drone, and those are so easy to fly. Anybody can fly them, and she's flown that one. She's actually, there's no worries with those at all. But she's
so cool.
Yeah.
Do you ever have anyone like hire you to go, do you mind filming this for us, like with your drone and stuff, or is it just a case of you just do it for your own sort of leisure? And
I'm working on getting my Part 107 certification so that we can do it commercially. I would say I have had people approach me, and I've had to turn them down because of that. You need to have a certification to do it commercially and get paid for the service. So.
Yeah, I just wondered, that's all, because I know there's some people that have been interested in buying one.
Yeah, it's huge in people that want to do their property or real estate, or people who sell homes and things like that. It's
Have you ever lost a drone somewhere?
Yeah, I have actually. I had a quadcopter that along several years ago, and I don't know where it went. It was out of a park, so it's out in the desert.
And then also on the Chroma channel, you've got some where you tweak with the electronics as well. I've just got one photo of it. Yeah. I don't know if you briefly want to tell people about some of the stuff you've done on the channel.
So that stuff is mostly hobby stuff, but I do it in a way that I can share and sell it, just to help pay for the hobby. So a couple of things, I've done an on-screen display which plugs into your video line. So I get when we're flying the airplanes, we may not want what they call a flight controller. Typically a flight controller you can buy off the shelf, and it'll feed all the telemetry information to your goggles, like your altitude, your speed, GPS information, and your battery power. Well, I have tweaked and done stuff with Arduino and other microcontroller stuff. I'm a software developer. And so I had wanted to make a simple on-screen display, because during the pandemic, the price of microchips and these on-screen, the flight controllers just tripled in price. And I was able to get these little Arduino stuff for pretty cheap, and I was able to design one that will feed telemetry information, altitude, battery, and even GPS to the goggle system. And so it's without being a flight controller. Because when you're flying an airplane, I don't typically like the flight controller. It adds latency, a little bit of delay, as well as you feel like you're fighting it half the time. So, and then the other thing here, you show the picture here that I'm very hobbyist. I've designed some circuit boards for making your own guitar amps, and these are cigar boxes. And so I sell the blank boards now. I used to sell the kit, but it was a lot of work. And but you can build your own little guitar amp with just stuff you'd get from the thrift store, like a little old speaker and some easy to get components. And I have some videos on there that show that as well.
I have a shout out for one of my best friends, because we started doing stuff like that in sixth form. But no, he probably will do. But my best friend Tom, he made between me and him, we made a multi-distortion amp for the guitar.
Oh, awesome.
So he ended up basically just tinkering with it for a while, experimenting with it, see if it worked. And then I just did the casing. And then we gave it to one of our friends as a birthday present, and they absolutely loved it. So he's made so much stuff. He's not on social media, bless him, but he'll probably be watching this if he does come and say hello. But he's made even guitars out of literally candy tins, and just made the fretboard, and it works. Electric one as well. So it's he'll make anything out of nothing, and he's just so talented. But he doesn't promote it, nothing. He just does it as a hobby, and he's like, it's all right, I suppose, And it's just an ordinary day of stuff, and it's amazing, honestly. The amount of
it's
stuff.
A lot of fun.
I think credit to you on that one.
I have to say, being involved with the drones and stuff like that really got me into the electronics. And so it's a lot of fun to do that kind of stuff where you just tweak and make these little boards, and it's pretty easy now to design something up and order it from online and have it shipped to you for pretty cheap.
Yeah, it feels so good though as well, because it's I've made a complete thing out of all the little bits, and you're like, it's my baby.
Made a distortion pedal. Is that what you did?
Yeah, it was a multi-distortion. Yeah, just I think it was just one actually sound that we did, but it was just to press it once and then it just distorted it once. But I ended up the same year buying myself a multi-distortion one for my bass, so it was I have to get different sounds.
I think makes guitars and banjos out of everything. I don't know if you have it in the States. We have a brand of a tin with mixed chocolates called Quality Street. And people at home will know what it is. And he got the tin and made a guitar out of it.
He did.
It.
Basically he made it out of the candy tin and then did it. And I think he did the tea one as well. So yeah, it's just so, honestly, he's so talented, my best friend, and he just doesn't, whatever.
That's really
it's just an ordinary day, and it's no, you need to be shown off a bit. You put them on a pedestal because you're amazing. But
I'll leave the chat open for a sec if anyone at home wants to ask you any more questions. But is there anything else you want to promote as we start to wind down?
Well, like I said before, and I think we just want to inspire people to get out there, discover and explore. And if you enjoy that, and you feel that, just enjoy life. We want to raise people's happiness and enjoy of life. And so hopefully they can they can find that a little bit inspiration through our videos. Anything else?
Exactly.
So
I've got
Lovely
because I
post.
came across your channel
Oh.
by accident. You commented on one of my videos, and I was like, "Oh, what's this about?" And then I went on it, and it was just all this stuff about. I was like, I was just in awe for a minute. I was like, "This is really." So that's how I found your channel, and then I'm watching it now, and I'm enjoying it. But
And then you mentioned the drones to me, and I was like, drones? This sounds cool. And he's like, I make things from this, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
so
That's how we came across.
what I'm going to do with people isn't right. I've got to do a prize draw for something else on our social. I've do it online in case one of my friends wins. So we're going to do it quickly now.
Okay, so we've
do you wanna
got.
I've only got 5 here. We did a competition today, but I've just got to hold them up to the camera to show you what's going in. So we've got Maddie and Andy Travels.
Yeah.
Try to give them to me, and I'll put them in.
Yeah,
This isn't going to take long. Then we got Coaster with the Joneses. It's a stakesy thing.
Oh, there you go.
Travel with the Joneses and Coasters with Moi. But also, I want to say what I'll do is everyone at home, tell people about Discover Explorers, and if they have more than 100 subs by next week, I'll do another giveaway for everyone. So that's incentive. Get it shared about.
Go for it.
Some people did enter this competition today after 6 p.m, but the rules were at 6 p.m. But you're going to pick one.
I'm sorry, it's going to take me a while to fold these up.
I'll
So
just
if you
fold
want
this.
to talk about anything right now or any more questions, just go for it, guys, because it's taking me a while to fold these bits
I'll
of
fold them
paper.
if you want.
So let me ask you guys a question. So Stacey, I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
How did you guys start? How did you know that you had a love for this? And how did you go from like maybe just making videos to wanting to interview people on videos?
It sounds really bad.
I'll let you explain.
I'm not going to say. I used to see other people because we used to just do theme parks before we branched out, and I used to have other people. I used to see other people do shows with guests coming on every now and then, and I'd be like, "Oh, I've got to tune in because I want to know." And then they'd just talk about the news that week and have the person chime in with their opinion every now and then. I'm like, I've tuned in because I thought they were going to talk to that person about their life, and then I was like, no one's really doing that. I want people on. That's what made me start doing it.
That's cool.
But I'll show that a bit.
I think for me, it's just a case of I like to go to like museums, and I've noticed I've got a love for like folklore and history and stuff. And I do like making things out of nothing as well, so I'm quite creative.
Do you want to pick one?
But then you're quite good with, how can I put it?
I don't know what you're going to say.
Like videos and vlogging and stuff. So you've got that knowledge. And I was just like, well, why don't we go explore and then just have videos of us exploring and making memories? And then eventually over time, I've just kind of said, this is accessible. You can get this. And we've even had people come up to us locally and say, oh, we've lived here for so long, we didn't even know this existed. And we were like, oh, well, just it's only there. It's not far from you.
Oh, Ben and Holly have
It's
subs.
just so rewarding. Like the amount of people that have followed us, by the way, thank you. And it's been lovely. Honestly, we'd love to share it with everyone. And it's nice. We've got a few people in America that actually want to come over visit England, and they watch our videos just so they know that this is the stuff here. Come visit England for a bit. So
you can pick one out now if you want.
I can pick one out. There we go. I'm shuffling. I will go on for ages. So
what's that one? Do you want me to read it out? Who has won?
Oh,
there we go. Maddie and Andy Travels.
Yay!
Do you want to show them what they've won? We've just neglected.
Oh,
it was on Instagram.
Goodness. I'm not actually.
They're going to need that this weekend. We're in the middle of a heat wave.
I was going to say I'm going to wear
the orange one,
but it's the orange one.
This is it's an orange visor. It's like a golf visor. So that's Maddie and Andy Travels have won that for now little competition, and we're going to do another competition next week. We got a lot of merch to give away, so we're going to do another competition next week. So get over to the YouTube, not just the Instagram, Travel with the Joneses, and we'll go and sub to Discover Explorers. And also, I'm going to plug. We did a video on Sunday at the National Telephone Kiosk Museum, and we had so much fun there. The person who worked there asked if we were local and could we be volunteers, because we were just on the phone. They've got different phone kiosks from like throughout the years, and then they're in an internal circuit, so you can just phone each of the phones from another phone.
They've literally made their own network.
It's brilliant.
With all the old telephone parts and everything, and it's like,
wow.
Oh, that's fun.
That's cool.
It's so good, honestly. I think we did a video of it moving as it was being used as well, didn't we? But you'll have to go check it. So thank you everybody for watching. Obviously, just share it with everyone else. Like, subscribe. These are
thank you for
our wonderful guests on that way.
Taking time to come on.
Wonderful guests as well. So yeah,
because it's the start of your day, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So it's lunchtime now. But we appreciate the opportunity to come on your show, and thanks for reaching out to us and extending the invite. We appreciate
Hopefully, we get more eyes on your stuff, because there's nothing like that in the UK. Like when you see people who go to slightly snowy places, not like Alaska, but you can kind of go, well, there's parts of Britain that are like that, but there's nothing like Arizona in the UK at all.
You'll have to let us know if you visit somewhere like that you've never actually been before for the first time, and then just come and visit again and be like, hey.
Yeah. So we did a layover one time in Heathrow. How long were we there?
Oh, like 9 hours.
We were a 9-hour layover, and it would have been fantastic if we could have gone somewhere, but we didn't want to go through security again. They're pretty tough there.
Cool.
Heathrow.
Heathrow,
anyway.
definitely.
That's the closest we were to you guys.
Did you do you know our catchphrase?
Your catchphrase? Oh, I've heard it.
It doesn't matter if not. It was just if you knew it.
So we'll see you
in the review.
because for now
we go.
Bye.